Deep Six Wrestling Podcast once again. We're here for our Slammiversary post show. The show just ended a little bit ago. Actually, closer to probably like half an hour ago, because then we saw the end of the NBA Finals game.
Close to an hour ago, bud.
Yeah, well, whatever.
It's almost midnight.
Anywho, we have some words here from the newly crowned Deep Six Predictions champion. That'd be Angelo.
Let's see if this mic can pick up the
Might be
sound of the spinner belt.
Have to get a little closer.
Got really close. There we go.
Yeah, it's
All
picking
the podcast viewers, it's rumbling and tumbling.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is a spinner belt now. So I'm pretty excited about
this
that.
is also
It's been for a while, but it's news to me.
When was the last time you had this?
About 2 years ago.
That's
It was
insane, dude.
June,
That's a
July
drought.
19, yeah.
That's
And
a
I
drought.
lost it at SummerSlam.
You've been on the jobber scene.
Yeah, exactly. Well, what happened here was, I guess this is a product I actually watched with Ryan, so it makes sense.
That's
that
fair,
I
dude.
came back to life a
That's
little
sure
bit.
as hell.
Yeah. So I can't wait to
helps,
lose
you
it
know?
at probably SummerSlam again, like I did last year. But I have no idea what's going on. But
Hey
hey,
man,
man,
I'm just
helps when
happy.
you launched a product.
I'm just happy that the title is with an Impact boy.
That's true. You should be glad that the two guys who watched the show, one of them won the title.
yeah.
So.
And the other one was close. Like I was
Yeah,
I was
you
a
were
one
close
off.
enough. You were close
Yeah.
enough.
I
So
wasn't Jake or
no, you were not in last.
Oh,
So
we forgot to ask. How did Raquel do with her?
she beat
predictions?
them. She beat Jake instead. So,
Randy Orton.
Should we just touch on the ending of this?
Yes,
I mean,
so-
that's what's hot on Twitter.
so yes, Angelo is going to be dipping out of this quickly, but we're going to talk about what happened at the end of the show.
Fresh on the mind.
Fresh on the mind, and probably the biggest thing to talk about. So, Kenny Omega did retain the Impact World Championship match after
The match. He retained the match.
He retained-
Nice.
He retained the title after the match. Jay White, the lights went out, and Jay White came out. Current New Japan, never openweight champion, set to defend that title against David Finlay, who also appeared on this pay-per-view as a surprise with Finjuice. As part of Finjuice, I should say. So, Angelo, I'll toss it to you first. What's your initial reaction coming out of that match? And just ignore the thing after. Ignoring the feed cut. What was your reaction
sure.
to that? Just so we can hear something.
Like Jay White coming out?
To Jay White, the match
Yeah,
itself, whatever you want.
The match itself, I thought was pretty phenomenal. I mean, I expected a lot more tomfoolery. Obviously, it's no DQ, so weapons were involved. There really wasn't much interference outside of Don Callis stepping in at the last second.
Yeah.
But no, it was solid. I mean, Sami Callihan, even in a loss, got a tremendous rub throughout the whole past couple months of the whole build-up, and then tonight to make him look like a superstar. So, I mean, that's the best thing you want when you still have Kenny Omega as the champion.
Agreed. Ryan and Joey, we'll talk about this a little later, but the big thing coming out of this, aside from Jay White showing up to appear to possibly challenge Omega, is as this was happening, commentary was acting as if somebody was running out, and then the show cut off, the feed cut out, and thanks to Sean Ross Sapp on Twitter, we found out that it was Finjuice running down to attack Jay White. He laid out Juice with the Blade Runner and then ducked out of the ring. So
Well, you could see that
you could see that somebody was coming out. Yeah.
Yeah.
My initial reaction is just that this is the most TNA way to end a pay-per-view.
Okay, so like I brought up what I think happened, and I think that Impact meant to cut the feed as the aerial was going up of just Jay staring down to Kenny Callis, the Good Brothers doing the 2-sweet. That's when I think it was supposed to cut. I think we weren't supposed to see the Finjuice running, because I think that's probably going to be like something that they show either at a later date or just for
The crowd?
New Japan or the crowd. Because obviously, as we point out once we found out what happened, we point out that David Finlay and Jay are facing each other in New Japan at the LA show, the Resurgence, I think it's called.
Yeah.
So it was. I think that's what it was supposed to do, was to try to build for that and be like a New Japan exclusive, because I'm sure New Japan is going to put on New Japan World Jay White's interaction with Kenny.
They already retweeted the actual like video on Twitter.
Okay.
So my only thing about why I don't think it is like that it was something we weren't supposed to see is because commentary was still
Their
very.
lives were
They were like,
Yeah.
they
I
were
think
still very active.
regardless, it was definitely like a production mishap.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which-
and unfortunately, it's pretty common in
Right.
fact. And
Which-
honestly, it's a shame. Like if they just got that down to a T, they'd be a really solid promotion. You know.
Well, they're one step ahead right now, not of like anybody else, but they've
Right.
moved a
I
step
forward
forward because they have fans. So we didn't
They
have
have
the, as you
fans.
guys call the cafeteria noise. That
Yeah.
wasn't. We didn't have that tonight. We had a very lively, low number crowd, but like
I
Those
thought
dedicated fan base.
they all chanted for the right people. They booed the right people.
they cheered like Rohit Raju getting cheers,
Okay,
getting cheered more than Ace Austin when Rohit Raju the last time that fans were around. I feel like it was probably pretty low on the card.
Yeah, but I feel like if they're hard, like Angelo said, they're hardcore Impact.
Yeah.
They've been watching. I feel like he's been a pretty big name in the X Division
That's
for the
fair.
pandemic era.
Yeah, because as me and Angela have pointed out, like on the podcast, most of the time, like from where Rohit was when we first started watching, as like a joke jobber guy.
losing everything. No one
So-
wanted to team with him. Remember?
Right, yeah,
So,
nobody wanted to be with him. The big surprise of him winning the X Division title, where some of us were like, okay, well, Chris Bay should have retained the title. That was stupid. But like seeing this, I kind of want to say the
late
X Division
career progression,
star.
right,
Yeah, he was a star weekly, and he's continued to be like on the mic. He's fantastic in the ring. He's not as flashy as the other guys in the X Division, and he's not as powerful and like technically sound as Josh Alexander, but he holds his own.
Yeah.
Okay, so the other news coming out of the show that we want to get through at the beginning is Bound for Glory was announced on this show, and not just regular Bound for Glory. It was announced for October 23rd in Las Vegas, and they announced it's a cross-promotional show between Impact, AAA, AEW, and New Japan. And obviously the ending set up Jay White. Do we think it happens at Bound for Glory? Do you think it happens sooner? Or do you think the match happens in New Japan? Where do you think this happens?
I think it has to like. I think that's the match you do for Kenny's return to New Japan.
Okay.
I just think that, like, considering how low, and I don't want to be like, okay, well, let's shit on Impact, but Impact gets really low numbers. And Jay and Kenny, yes, that's a huge match, but it's still not going to draw a lot
Yeah.
just because Impact.
Like it'll draw more than Impact usually draws, but it's not going to be like a significant amount of people, like realistically. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
unfortunately, you're right.
And the other thing is, we don't know what, would it be, if it's for the Impact belt, maybe?
Yeah.
But considering that's the lowest of the 3 world titles that he has,
I think the
I even want to go a step further and say, respectively, I think the never openweight title is more respected than the Impact title right now. Because you've gone from Shingo to Jay, you had Tanahashi in there for a bit in the feud. You've had Suzuki. Like the name value for those guys are all better than most of the roster of Impact.
Yeah, to play devil's advocate though, this happened on an Impact show, and it's not like AEW doesn't exist. If New Japan, AEW, and Impact were planning on this match to happen in AEW, I feel like they would have had Jay show up on Dynamite in front of a packed arena that would literally explode for this.
Yeah, but
That's why I think it's going to happen under an Impact show, and the fact that we know that this is happening on.
Because it would make no sense if it was like Jay versus Kenny for the Impact title at AEW.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. And I don't think
I
more
think at that point they're just kind of just using Impact for their talent.
Exactly.
but that's the thing
Or
that
title.
I'm thinking of.
Right.
Like,
It's a placeholder.
Is,
Right.
is it going to be for the Impact title, or is it a title versus
yeah,
title?
that's what we don't know. Like,
But
he just
then
literally-
also-
he didn't formally challenge him to anything.
Right.
He didn't say a word.
The only thing is, if he's going to challenge for one of Kenny's titles, it's probably going to be the Impact belt solely because it happened on an
Right.
Impact show. You wouldn't have
That's
him
fair.
show up at
The-
Impact and then challenge
Right,
for the
right.
AEW
He's not
title.
gonna. He's not gonna
That's fair. I want to play a weird devil's advocate here and say, what if it's a non-title match
I don't
and
think
it's Bullet Club versus the Elite at that show?
At Bound for Glory.
at Bound for Glory. You can have just of the people who we know live in America of Bullet Club. Jay, Tama Tonga, Tongaloa, Kenta. That's 4 people.
Yeah.
You can have
Juice.
Juice is not in Bullet Club.
Oh, I'm just thinking. I'm just
Damn,
thinking
I had a new
people
member?
on the roster. Oh, Jesus, man.
Yeah,
I'm
Juice
sorry.
Club.
So Jay, God,
Flamboyant Club.
and Kenta.
You get Phantasmo. Phantasmo.
Oh, and Phantasmo,
Yeah.
and then for the Elite, Kenny, the Bucks, and the Good Brothers. We already know it's a co-branded show. That's 3 different companies all in one match,
It's possible.
and I feel like that would be. It doesn't sacrifice your title. It doesn't sacrifice Jay's title. You're gonna get the viewers from all 3 companies looking at this because Bullet Club is still, no matter how many people are like, oh, this is the worst incarnation of Bullet Club, they still fucking sell merch. They still are followed by a lot of people online. And New Japan, while it's not as big as WWE, it's not as big in America as AEW, it's still got a lot of international draw. And that's what AEW I feel like is missing. And you can draw that in on this if all 3 of those companies actually give a fuck and advertise properly for the show. This could be the biggest non-WWE show in a long time.
I don't think that's going to come anywhere close to it. I don't think this is the numbers that AEW does for their pay-per-views. I don't think Impact will come close with Bound for Glory. I don't care.
But that's what I'm saying. If all 3 of the companies put all their lot forward for this show,
Yeah, it just depends how much they try.
so
Right
right,
now,
yes.
we haven't
So
seen
my
AEW
thoughts-
do much.
Well,
because New Japan is all in on Impact. Like they bring out the Impact titles. They had fucking Naito and Sonata on backstage promos trying to vie for the Impact title. Tag
I don't know if that
titles.
was Impact. That might have just been them doing that.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
is New
yeah,
Japan is
yeah.
all in on
Okay.
that. They're bringing when they have the New Japan guys on Impact, they put those matches on their platform.
I still don't know if I would say Bound for Glory is going to be the biggest non-WWE.
It could be.
I think the safe
I,
bet.
mean, the
I also think
possibility.
I also think it's interesting that they didn't announce a venue or tickets.
It's probably gonna be up
That
to
is actually
MGM.
yeah.
Because if it's like
or
random,
T-Mobile Arena maybe.
They look
if it's T-Mobile or if it's MGM Grand, that's AEW level.
Yeah. So my
Yeah, they're
thought
big
process.
arena. They're
Okay.
pretty-
T-Mobile is WWE.
So my thought process to this, it won't be T-Mobile. I don't think that's going to happen. If it's MGM Grand, then I would assume that we can all assume that this is a fully co-branded show and all the companies are going to promote it. If it's where ROH used to run their anniversary shows, which I don't remember what that's called, then I would assume this is going to be an Impact show that has a couple like talents from each of those shows, but is not fully
I think
co-branded.
the safe bet is that it's Kenny versus Jay for the Impact title. I mean, that's pretty. I think that's the safe bet. Or you can do Kenny versus him for the Never Open.
I think
have Kenny collect that
I
belt
think
too.
Jay loses. So what I was gonna say is I looked up. I have New Japan Resurgence. This happens on August 14th, which is a Saturday. There's no AEW thing.
Yeah.
I think if they're gonna build this like through all 3 companies, I think Kenny shows up on that show and maybe costs Jay the belt to Finlay.
Okay.
And Finlay gets
Yeah.
that belt. Now,
Yeah.
Angelo, I know that you didn't want to be here for too long. So do you have any other thoughts you want to share on Jay, Kenny, Bound for Glory, or the pay-per-view?
I will say Bound for Glory is it their biggest pay per view or it's like one of their big 2?
It's one of the big 2.
It's the anniversary. I just don't think they get away with not defending the Impact title at Bound for Glory, even though it does sound like a great idea to have a huge match with all the promotions together. Maybe it's a lower card thing because you can still do like Bucks and Good Brothers versus New Bullet Club or something like that. But yeah, I mean we got to see what the participation of like AEW is in promoting. What we've seen so far is they don't recognize Impact outside of the Impact corridors.
Right.
So if that changes, that could really bring up numbers and make them use a bigger venue.
I think like it comes down to regardless of what the show's gonna look like, it's gonna be Jay versus Omega. In what capacity? no idea.
Right.
But
They
it's gonna
only-
be that's what they're building to. It's
They
obvious.
deserve a good audience.
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah, 100%. So like,
And these-
regardless of whatever happens.
The only other what if scenario happens here is that New Japan's the historic G1 Climax tournament is happening in September to October.
You think what I'm thinking?
Bound for Glory is set to happen on October 23rd. And most likely Jay will be in the G1 because he's one of the biggest stars in New Japan.
Yeah.
That's
of course.
the
And
final.
they need.
They
people.
need him. However, we have seen all the issues in New Japan this year with the non-Japanese talent and the way the company's being run with COVID. So there's questions to be asked. Will Jay White be in the G1 Climax? And if he is in the G1 Climax, does he make it back for Bound for Glory? Which, again, the G1 ends on October 21st. And he would have to fly back to thing. But you also have to remember, typically people in the G1 risk the run of getting injured because of how long and how arduous the tournament is.
Right, where they wrestle through injury.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's questions to be asked, and I think that if Jay skips the G1, I would assume AEW and or Impact have to offer New Japan something in return, which I think
100%.
the prime contender would be if they're going to do this. No, I think it's Kenny back to New Japan for a match with Ibushi in Japan.
Oh,
Okay.
at the Tokyo Dome?
You could do it at the Tokyo Dome, or if Impact has to offer people, they would obviously send over people for I would assume
non-title
World Tag
match.
League.
Well, I wouldn't say World Tag League. I would say
For the G1.
no.
No.
Just have them
That's
as
the
a
Super Junior.
just
Yeah,
have
they have
them-
the X Division. They've already used
Yeah.
Chris Bay. You can get Josh Alexander and stuff.
TJP.
They have a bunch of people you can
Just
also
have
go back.
Omega enter the G1.
Yeah.
They're gonna
No.
follow up.
I don't know what they would do if they would do Ibushi and Omega non-title. I feel like they would want a title attached to it.
Yeah.
AEW title? No, because
No.
but what
No.
they do? Like they
I don't
not gonna
know.
do the Impact title.
Unless Ibushi wins the title from Shingo back.
Again.
But that
That's a
timeline you said for
possibility.
the G1 Climax,
When
it's
is
assuming
that
Jay
match?
White win or goes to the finals.
Well, so basically, if you the tournament is they wrestle every day, even when they're not on, because it's two blocks. And so Block A wrestles, and then on the Block B, I mean, last year they didn't just because of COVID, but Block B normally wrestles in tag matches, so he'd be on those shows. And in the
Still
finals,
wrestling.
even if he doesn't make it to the finals,
He's
typically,
part of that card.
yeah.
Okay.
But theoretically, he could fly out
The
and
bigger,
do other matches.
the bigger guys that are not wrestling in tag matches, they usually don't go as hard. Like Naito usually doesn't take his shirt off.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the big guys, like a lot of big names, just don't take their shirt off and then just kind of like.
So
whatever.
we're still around what? It's July. How many months? Are we?
2 months away from September.
So 3 months away from October. So there's still a lot to be known about Bound for Glory.
I was
One,
in-
where it is
You
again.
can have Omega versus Shingo.
I guess.
Something
Yeah, there's-
fresh.
But I
I
still
just think
think
Coda is the bigger.
Well,
Coda
yeah,
and Omega's
because
the
of
big
the
match.
history, yeah.
so.
Which, if that's the case, Hangman, I don't think is winning.
No, I still think Hangman's got to take the AEW title. I don't think AEW is
Yeah.
going to sacrifice their biggest
They're not.
story.
That's
Not
fair.
for-
Like this,
for-
if
for
you
another
just
company.
having watched like
Yeah,
the past
there's no
2
way.
weeks, like,
Yeah.
this is the hottest story in wrestling.
Yeah.
You can tell that
Fair.
TK cares about the fans, and he sees how over.
I think he would be willing to let Omega
Hangman
lose
is.
and then
Like-
go to New Japan.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah,
I think the other thing I wanted to point out. So I did look up at the venue.
The ROH one.
Yeah. So the ROH venue is between 1,200 to 1,500.
Yeah, that's not a lot. Of
So-
So
Yeah.
that's what your typical Impact show is looking like.
Right.
Oh, it's even less.
Right. It's a lot less.
Yeah. Like
I'm
you
talking.
guys
I'm
can
talking
continue
like
to
no.
talk.
I'm
I'm just
talking
looking.
like pre-COVID. I'm saying.
That's what I was gonna look
Yeah.
up. Is like what was
That'd be a fun
Slammiversary
thing for them.
before then?
Yeah, I think that like Impact could sell it out, no problem, especially with like some added people on there for a pay-per-view. It's just again, if you're looking at Impact compared to like an AEW show, that would be the venue that they would go to. Or even if you're looking at like New Japan when they did their US tour, not like the G1 show, they were running like the 2300 arena for ECW, which I think is similar capacity for that, maybe less.
So
It's definitely less than that.
the last show that they did, the last Slammiversary,
Yeah.
before COVID,
Uh-huh.
was at Gillies, Dallas.
What the hell is that?
It is it's a complex, so they've got multiple rooms.
Alright, well, how many people did that?
Well, it doesn't. They don't say. It just says sellout. There's like 8 different rooms,
Right.
and they vary from 3,800 to 250. Most of them are 450 people.
Okay.
But like it doesn't. They just listed that it's Gillies Dallas. They don't list what room it was in. So
I don't know.
if like even that could be bigger than
They sold 400.
yeah, like that could if they're gonna do the Sam's Town thing that I said.
Yeah.
That's a big step forward than what Impact has been running. It seems.
Yeah, but again, I would say that if it's a fully cross-promotional show, then it wouldn't be there. Just
Yeah.
because I feel like everybody would want like a portion of the ticket gate.
I think it's a big area because they're going to Vegas for this.
Yeah.
So like that's a good touristy spot for it. It's not like
No.
Nashville where there's not like a fight. There's not like
I have a question. Does Jay and Kenny have to be at that show?
No.
Is it a
No.
possibility that it could be at the New York show for AEW?
well, when does the G1 start again?
I don't think it would be possible.
No.
No, I think
The G1 starts.
We'll talk
Unless
about
he's
it.
not
We'll talk
in
about it in a second. I want to let Angela get out of
Yeah.
here. Angela, do you have
Okay.
anything you want to say before before you sign off?
Thanks. I have the belt now. I'll run away with it. Never
You're safe for the
Yeah.
weekend too. You can't lose it
I know.
tomorrow.
I can't. Well, I can still lose tomorrow.
Yeah, but you can't lose the title.
I can't lose the
You
title.
can still get a punishment.
Yeah.
Sometimes I care more about the punishment
Can
than
you
the belt.
imagine you holding the title and you still have to do a punishment?
That's very likely.
I mean, that'd be
Hey,
a
man,
first.
I don't think you're losing to Jake.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hey man, I just want to put it
Thank
forward
goodness for Jake.
that since I am Angelo's speaker right now, Angelo's told me privately that he's putting the title on the line for every Impact Plus show as well.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to
I don't
lose
think
it.
so,
He doesn't
pal.
want to lose the title at SummerSlam
We'll talk
again.
about it as a group of what shows are appropriate. I was thinking like GCW and any
GCW
show.
Homecoming,
We
baby.
might get a short range from Angela here.
extreme midget wrestling. I was
Yeah.
thinking,
Yeah, of course.
So
That's a great idea.
yeah, we'll talk.
Hardcore Hustle,
Yeah, hardcore hustle. Yeah.
but only when Jake Petrella debuts. The debut show we have to watch.
No, if he's on a show, we gotta predict it.
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
And we all got to predict against him.
It's his debut.
No further comments.
Oh, it's his debut.
Did you know that a pregnant man emoji is coming to Apple?
Wow.
Sorry.
What? Alright, so Angelo has now left the building.
Thank the Lord.
Well, he'll turn. So now we'll go through the rest of the card here, and then we'll come back to Kenny and Sammy at the end. So we're starting off the show. We were very confused about the pre-show situation as we attempted to watch on Access and Twitch. It just kept replaying the same video.
Couldn't find it.
And then eventually it cut to the match, which was Havoc and Rosemary with the rest of the Decay versus Fire and Flava for the Impact Knockouts Tag Team Championship. Really have much to say about this. I thought it was a fine opener. Havoc and Rosemary won. The crowd was pretty happy with this, so I feel like it was a nice start to the show. So new tag champs are crowned, Rosemary and Havoc.
First
crowned
title
specials.
change with the crowd back.
Yeah, that is true.
Impact.
This was no, we did have another title change tonight. So we had that. Ryan, you have anything to say about this? You are the Impact guy.
It's the women's tag titles, and I don't know. I feel like Kira and Tasha have been some of the most entertaining knockouts in this whole pandemic era. I don't know. Havoc, I don't connect with Rosemary and Decay at all, and Havoc has been. I think it's weird that Havoc brought in her supposed best friend to be her tag partner for basically the entire pandemic, just to have her leave and then be like, okay, she's gone, get a title with a new partner that you've had one match with. I don't know. The Knockouts tag division is like they've got teams that I care about. Havoc and Rosemary are not one of them. I think it's weird that out of all Decay, the new person in Decay gets a title first before Black Taurus, who went for the X Division title, and him and Crazy Steve went for the tag titles, and they couldn't get those done. I don't know. I feel like I want Tasha and Kiera to go and win this, just because, again, it's kind of wishful thinking that like I wanted the Iconics to show up, and that would have been just like their personalities would be a real fun time on the mic, them versus Fire and Flavor.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's without reason to think they'll show up at some point.
Yeah.
I still don't think they will. I still think they're going to AEW.
That's
I think they're just going to. I just think because of the Spears connection. But yeah, I thought it was a fine opening of the show. Joey, any thoughts?
No, not really. I haven't. I don't watch Impact weekly, so I don't really know about this. If this is even a feud, I don't know how long they've been going at it, and I feel like what Ryan said. I feel like the Knockouts tag champion, tag titles just kind of float around. Is that true? It's just kind of like whoever gets it gets it. Like there's no really.
There's been the issue basically was for this feud was Tasha and Kiera had basically beaten the entire division because there were two other teams, and one of them was Susan and Kimberly, who are not treated as actual top quality talent.
Right.
And the other was Rachel and Jordan, who were like looked like they were gonna break up.
Okay.
So, to that extent, yeah, it was kind of like, okay, well, we're just throwing teams at here. But, I don't know, like, I feel like if the Iconics weren't going to come, I feel like Rachel and Jordan have a better claim and a better story with Tasha and Kiera than Rosemary and Havoc did.
Okay.
I don't know, I just don't care about Decay. Because they're trying to push them as baby faces, but they act like heels.
So would you say that Impact's Knockouts tag division is what the kids say nowadays, down bad?
I wouldn't say down bad. I would say it's.
Is it better than WWE's women's tag division?
I would say main roster, yes, because they aren't firing half
That's
multiple
fair.
people of the tag division.
Or
and
trading them to another.
Yeah, putting them on NXT in the middle of the storyline. Hopefully, I'm
You
not
imagine that
speaking as
conversation went?
I'm hoping that Kimberly isn't we're gonna find out she got future endeavored back to Ohio Valley Wrestling to do scouting.
Well,
I don't know. They've got Havoc, pretty good wrestler. Rosemary, pretty good wrestler. Kimber, from what we've seen, not the best, but like she's hyped up a lot, and like when she's given like solo time, she has good matches. Su Young as Susan, absolutely trash. Jordan and Rachel, fucking phenomenal wrestlers. And as I said, Kiera and Tasha, really good. Tasha is super young, really, really good. So the talent is there. It's just the stories aren't.
okay. Yeah. That seems like an issue in some wrestling today.
It just feels
You
like
have all the talent in the world, but you don't know how to make a story out of it. It doesn't mean anything.
yeah, it's a bit of that, and also it just feels like the tag titles didn't make sense to come back. Like I feel like they were more of a reward for Kiera and Tasha just being so good.
Yeah.
During the pandemic, they're like, okay, we're bringing these in. Here you go.
Yeah.
It's very similar to how I feel like the WWE tag team, women's tag titles were kind of just like, okay, here,
Right.
Bayley and Sasha, you've been good. The Iconics, you've been good. Here, you guys get these,
Right.
and you guys are gonna carry them at different points.
Yeah.
But then they did realize that the rest of the division is meaningless.
Right. It's like getting a bunch of like A-list celebrities and putting them on one movie that has like a super high budget, and then the movie like flops at the box office.
Right. it's that, and then the whole thing with them being like, okay, well we're gonna defend these on all three brands, and NXT like has a screwy finish, so they're like, okay, well fuck it, NXT gets a women's tag titles, and for all intents and purposes, it seems like there's more teams in NXT than main roster on two brands, which makes no goddamn sense. And now I see people like, and this could just be people that just hate on the product. I don't know because I don't watch the product. But apparently NXT UK is now putting women together as groups. So there's people who are like, oh, well, NXT UK is going to get a tag title. And if that's the case, then you're just making titles for shits and giggles that nobody I don't think anybody is going out and buying the NXT tag team women's tag titles or the main roster women's tag titles. Yeah. So the idea of them being like, okay, well, this is just merchandise and people are going to buy these. If they're not selling on the other ones, why do it on a brand that is most likely getting the worst viewing? Because from all I've ever seen, NXT UK draws awful in the UK on TV. So what is the point of it's just silly. WWE should just have one tag titles for the women because they don't know how to book tag teams for the men, and they're definitely not doing it for the women because we can all vouch for that the WWE women's tag division is trash. The Knockouts, same thing. They've got the talent. It's just the stories that they do are absolutely trash. Right. Move on to the next thing.
Yeah, sorry. Set up for because you said we can vouch. I was gonna say I can also vouch that we need to move on. Yeah, we're ruined by my transition.
Well, sorry about
the first match on the show we have is the Ultimate X match for the X Division Championship, which saw Trey Miguel, Petey Williams, Rohit Raju, Chris Bay, and Ace Austin facing off against Josh Alexander for his X Division Championship. Seemed like there was some type of miscommunication heading into the match with the commentary team, as they told us the opening match was going to be Matt Cardona and his mystery partner versus Brian Myers and Tennille. That was not the case. Ultimate X started the show. And as you would expect from Ultimate X, this was pretty fucking wild. There was some pretty nuts stuff here. Petey Williams did get to do some Canadian destroyers, which I think we were all very happy for. Josh Alexander was hanging from the ropes at one point and got just absolutely obliterated by a chair from Rohit Raju. Two, yeah. We got to see one of the most weird things to see in the Ultimate X match, which is where you have to grab the title, where every single person in the match
like a human centipede of submission moves.
Yeah, it started on the ground and then it came down and connected thanks to Josh Alexander, who was hanging on the top rope and locked in an ankle lock.
Upside down ankle lock.
Which, to be fair, the visual was cool.
The visual is
it
cool.
Didn't make sense for this. If this was just like a six-way match or something, like in a cage, that makes sense. Yeah. But for Ultimate X, I mean, it was a
match that can't be won by pinfall or submission.
It was goofy, but it did look cool. I will say that.
It did, yeah.
I do have to say the finish here was actually pretty good. We saw it was Josh Alexander and Chris Bay both up trying to grab the belt from each other, and Ace Austin came out on the outside and went for a springboard to try and snatch it from the two of them, and they both pulled it up, and then basically Ace Austin just ate shit on the mat, and we eventually got Josh Alexander coming out of the tug of war successfully, and so Josh Alexander retained, which none of us predicted. Everybody chose either Chris Bay or Ace Austin to win here. So we clearly all counted Josh Alexander out for the wrong reason. But I thought this was a phenomenal opener. This was not my match of the night, but this was my second match of the night. Yeah. This was my number 2. This was great stuff. This was really fun opener for the show.
Yeah, absolutely. As somebody who this was the first live Ultimate X we got to see, I thought this was a great showing, and I thought the fans were really good here. This was the match that I was like, okay, it's really, really good to have the fans back for a match.
Yeah, absolutely. What would you think we would have enjoyed this match as much if it was cafeteria?
No.
Dude, no.
It's just so much more entertaining with the fans.
Yeah, that proved to be the case with AEW the past 2 weeks.
Yeah, I do want to say that this is the thing I just saw.
Yeah, you laughed. I was going to ask what this was.
Yeah, so NWA tweeted out and post on Instagram hashtag the Forbidden Doors open. And who else is exciting about what's going on in the world of professional wrestling after tonight?
Yeah, so we can talk about it now since you brought it up. But it is interesting following the show that we know NWA and Impact are working together. I was kind of surprised that they weren't. I mean, they announced Bound for Glory. It was before Deanna's match, right? I'm pretty sure they announced it before that. Because they didn't.
I thought it was going into the main event. I could have sworn it was going in. Yeah, because they ran down that right after Deanna's match. They ran down
The
that
Impact
July
was-
31st is Homecoming on Impact Plus. And then they announced Bound for Glory, which they built up like it's a never before type show, which if all four companies work together, it is. Because like Impact has worked with AAA for a while. And they're one of the people that were shown on the thing. And they worked with New Japan on and off for a while. So it's just the AEW part with all four of them working together. It's the new addition. But yeah, it's weird that we had two NWA people show up tonight.
Yeah, so we'll get to that not really shortly because we have other
Yeah.
matches, but I just found it interesting that NWA is not listed for Bound for Glory.
Yeah.
Despite, again, I should note, Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful did tweet out that we should expect more crossovers from NWA and Impact specifically.
Yeah.
So if those two are working together, I just wonder why they're not working with the others.
My thinking is you could have that added on.
Yeah.
Because we saw with the Slammiversary rundown that they added and changed that promo multiple times during this time. Like they added Brian and the Iconics onto it.
That's
and
true.
They took out Samoa Joe, and so you could have that.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, we've got multiple months, so
All right, so moving forward, we have Brian Myers and Neil Ashworth versus Matt Cardona and his mystery partner. I missed the reveal of this, so but I understand a video played before she came out.
yeah, it's it just came up on my thing. It's just her normal, and then the hot mess version of her looking at each other, and then went right into her.
Green screen.
Yeah, right in front
Who
of
could've
the
that
green
been?
scene, which no, for some reason.
Who could have been? Yeah, who could
Gotcha.
have been?
Okay.
That was weird. That was weird. That it was just a blank green screen behind them.
No idea.
But then went right into her video package.
Okay. So yeah, it was Chelsea Green making her Impact return here.
Which is, I think, was a little interesting, considering that's not what she was in Impact before. So
Yeah, she was Laura Van Ness, but now she's just going as Chelsea Green.
Yeah.
So that is interesting.
She did have a cast on her arm, though.
Yes, she did. She hit a Canadian Destroyer and Brian Myers. That's really all I remember of this.
yeah, it wasn't the greatest thing.
It was
but
6 minutes.
Yeah, it did what it needed to be.
Yeah.
I don't know if she's sticking around
That's
or
what I
if
was
she's
gonna-
gonna go straight back to Ring of Honor.
That's what I was going to ask you. Do you see her sticking around or?
I don't know. It depends on what the Ring of Honor relationship is. Because to be fair, the whole Ring of Honor women's tournament, most of the people on that are not signed to Ring of Honor.
Right.
So you could say that she's the Impact invitee or something.
Or she's a free agent.
Yeah, or a free agent. She can just show up wherever. I don't know. If she sticks around for more, she has to face Deanna at some point.
Yeah, or form a team and then break
Yeah.
up or something. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot that could happen, and again, it depends on like what she can actually do with the broken arm.
True.
Maybe that's why it was 6 minutes.
That's fair. After this, we got W. Morrissey versus Eddie Edwards. This is W. Morrissey's Impact official pay-per-view debut because he was on Impact Plus. It was like their
No,
big.
he was on Rebellion. He debuted.
Is that where he did?
Yeah, he debuted part of DVD's thing.
Shit, that feels like that was
Because-
forever ago.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, never mind. I take it back.
I called it.
Was
Yeah.
he in a match there? Or was it
Yeah, he replaced Eric Young. due to the
Oh, yeah.
ACL.
Okay. Yeah. Well, anyway, so never mind. This isn't his pay-per-view debut.
It's
But
his
he-
pay-per-view solo day.
Yeah, but he is undefeated still.
Yes.
So he does have that.
Hey man, I'm just gonna say it's weird to say that Morrissey as a singles guy in Impact has had better matches than he did as a singles guy in WWE, and his only singles feuds were Enzo and Daniel Bryan.
Okay, well, when you say it like that, you make it sound like Enzo's a ring general.
No, but like Daniel Bryan is somebody
Daniel Bryan,
who most
yes.
people would say could get a good match out of anybody.
Yeah.
But most people who saw those matches could
But
say. they
Also,
were
you
shit.
have to take into account his health at the time.
That's fair.
He was very openly dealing with
Yeah,
alcohol problems
that's fair.
and not being in the best shape. Now he's
Yeah.
like ripped to shreds and
Yeah.
looks like he's in very good health.
That's fair.
That being said, this was a match. I also don't have much recollection of this.
I enjoyed this match.
I thought, again, it was fine. It wasn't bad. This is a match I'm ever going to remember.
That's fair.
Morrissey won with what's his finisher?
So, first off, he grabbed what they called a chain. I didn't know.
It was
didn't
something
look
to
like
do.
it just looked like a metal like mesh thing.
Yeah.
And he wrapped it around his hand and hit Eddie with it. And then he got in and just hit his pile driver, which is normally not what he. It's the second time he's finished a match with it now, because normally it's the East River Crossing.
Okay, yeah.
But he finished Swan off with 3 of them in their match at the last Impact Plus show against All Odds.
Yeah.
So I guess you can say Eddie, like they're selling it like it was a metal chain. From what we saw, it looked like it was just mesh with metal on it, or like a metallic mesh. I don't know. I thought this ending was kind of silly, considering again.
Probably very-
Rich Swann ate 3 of those to kick, and that's how he finished it. And Eddie Edwards, who, for all intents and purposes, as they kept on pointing out, is the hardest. This would be like John Cena eating, I don't know, new person that's like if he. I'm trying to think of who to compare Morrissey to, like in WWE terms. Like a big Baron Corbin, if he ate what's his finish? End of days?
Yeah.
If he ate one end of days after getting hit with a metallic mesh thing.
Yeah, I don't know. Anywho, it was a fine match. I don't really have anything else to say on it.
Same.
Morrissey is undefeated though, and they're still building that up. Do you have any idea what he's gonna do?
We've talked about this. I have no idea.
It's weird that there's no mid card title
Yes.
for somebody to challenge.
I would not be shocked if they bring one in now.
I think they should, as you and Angelo talked about. on the
Because their
podcast.
roster is growing, not decreasing.
Yeah.
Like, and we'll
Then the
point
first feud
point
could
that
be
out soon.
him and Enzo.
No,
You need to stop.
I think if they're gonna do something with it, like bring in a television title.
Yeah.
That's all you need to do. You can throw Eddie in there. You can have Cass or Morrissey in there. You can have maybe the person who you could have Macklin in there since they're building him up. There's a lot of things that people you can throw in there that like just seem like they're just in the mid card and have nowhere to go.
We got a brief promo from Moose before his match with Sabin, and then we got a vignette of somebody painting, and it basically said "All hail the king," and then drama was written above it, saying "Long live" or "All hail the Drama King," and this is referring to Aiden English, the former Aiden English, now known as Drama King Matt. So it looks like Aiden English has gotten signed to Impact. I think this is a pretty good signing. I think he fits the Impact style. And again, I think I mentioned it to Ryan, Joey, and Angelo while we were watching the show, but I feel like a lot of people forgot that he didn't retire and that he just kind of stopped wrestling and was put on commentary. So I'm excited for this. This is actually a signing I wasn't expecting, but it's a very welcome one. I think he'll do well in Impact.
Yeah, I agree. I enjoyed his work as a solo guy.
Yeah, and even him with Rusev was really good.
Yeah, and he's fantastic on the mic. And he, like you said, good in ring. I think he'll again. This is who I'm referencing when I was saying there's so many people that are going to be they're adding to this.
And you also have people coming in from other promotions.
Right.
Mhm.
So like a television title would make sense for this, especially if right now it's just the X Division title and the Impact title, and Kenny doesn't defend that except on big occasions, basically, or the Impact Plus shows in this. So like you're not getting a Kenny Omega versus Rich or Eddie Edwards on random Impact television.
Yeah. After this, we had Mahabali Shira and Madman Fulton storm out to the ring, and Scott D'Amore comes out, and he basically says, normally I would have security come out here, but I ran into two guys backstage who are more than willing to fight. The Impact return of Finn Juice randomly. This fits with the theme of Slammiversary, which is anything can happen at this point. And I completely missed this. But Juice Robinson and David Finlay picked up the win here in 1 minute and 17 seconds.
To be fair, Fulton and Shira are not.
No, they were people who should get squashed.
Yes. It's weird that they're they're the big hosses, but makes sense. The weird thing is though, if they're back for a bit, they're gonna go after the Impact titles.
Oh, I don't need them in the
It's not in the Good Brothers either. Well,
I'd be fine if they did like a 3-way feud with them and VVD.
yeah.
Because the Good Brothers and VVD are heels, and then you could have Finn Juice as the baby face to like break it up.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the thing. Then we got Moose versus Chris Sabin. I thought this was actually pretty solid. Moose did some pretty cool stuff. He had a big like moonsault that he did, which is again, Moose is a big fucking guy.
Really nice drop kick when Chris Sabin was sitting on the apron, and the fact like he had to get up there.
Moose's dropkick is one of the nicest things.
Like,
It's
but he had to like get up there because the height difference, of where he had to be. That was really nice.
Moose's dropkick is really nice just because of how much air he can get on it, and like it feels like it takes a while. Like it's like a hard impact on it. I love like I don't know what they like an elevated
Moose kick.
Yeah, I don't know.
Please.
That's what he calls it.
I hope.
Shockingly though, this did lead to an upset.
Oh, yeah.
Chris Sabin pulled out the upset here.
And no one picked Chris
He
Sabin.
got him with the roll up.
That could have been really big if someone picked one person.
Pick Chris Sabin.
If Rob had chosen Chris Sabin, he could have won.
Or like me or something, yeah.
The weirdest part about this is that Moose literally just announced that he resigned, and like if this was like if they didn't announce that and this was it would like I feel like it would have been like, oh man, is Moose leaving and this is his, and then like you take him on TV for a bit and then come back. I have no idea where they go with this, other than as I pointed out at the end,
Kenny gets challenged by Sabin, but I don't know where you do that.
Homecoming. It's a
I don't
2-week thing.
think he's gonna wrestle. I don't think Omega's gonna wrestle.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's not like it's a live show. It's gonna be taped this weekend.
He's busy.
I don't know. We'll see.
It's just one of those things where like you've got 2 weeks to build anything, and I don't know what feuds you can get out of anybody.
That's true. I don't know if the mic is picking up the thunder, but we are currently in a very bad storm. Thankfully, our power made it through the entire night.
Yeah.
We had a little
Crazy.
There was some
hesitancy.
surge. There was a surge upstairs.
Was
Okay.
there?
There
I
was.
was
Yeah,
gonna say,
well,
we didn't get that.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
the lights flickered upstairs.
No, we had the one moment during the
We had buffering,
Yeah,
but we were fine after that.
yeah.
After this, we had our Impact Tag Team Championship Fatal 4-Way. And Falaba come out onto the ramp. And for some reason, during his entire promo, his music kept playing in the background. And he said that Scott D'Amore said he could find a replacement. And Falaba said, no way, Jose. And No Way Jose keeps his name from WWE.
Dude, it's like he's back, like he never left the WWE.
He looked the
Like he
exact
looks
same.
fresh off the boat from the Performance Center. Like he looks exactly the same. And you know what's funny? Because when he got released, right, from the WWE, he changed his
He
name.
did.
Remember
And
that?
he put out a
And
video.
his look,
Yeah.
he changed his look, and then he just resorts back to
He
that.
said he wasn't going to be going.
He's
there.
like, fuck it.
Yeah. Well, it's weird because so I've pointed out before, like that Impact does like random or like has relationships with like random indie promotions, and there's that Lariato Pro Wrestling that they always share stuff. Like that scary spot where they got a guy on top of a big ass ladder.
Oh,
He just
yeah.
slipped and fell and ate, like almost killed himself. But their latest show that they were building has No Way Jose on it, but he's not, I don't think he was listed as No Way Jose on that. And I thought that was weird, but that's how I was like, oh, they're really going all in, because the person right before him that they started building on those shows was Cass.
Yeah,
They were
it's
more
really
sweet.
weird.
So I don't know, yeah, and it's weird because he's still going by Kaz XL on those shows, but
Yeah.
he's W Morrissey on Impact.
Yeah, I don't know. Anywho, we had our Impact Tag Team title match here. It was a Fatal 4-Way. The other teams were the Good Brothers, Violent by Design, rep by Doring and Rhino, and Rich Swann and Willie Mack. This wasn't. I thought this was going to go longer than it did. This was about 11 minutes. But I thought it was.
Wow.
I thought it was a fine length. It was pretty fast paced.
We finally got Doring and Gallows throwing hands at each other.
Yeah. You have some big boys here. And the Good Brothers stole the win here at the end, and they won with the Magic Killer.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan, as somebody who watches Impact every week, what are your thoughts on the Good Brothers getting the tag titles back?
I don't care. And I don't. It's not that I don't care about the tag title thing, but this took all the steam out of Violent by Design because they just got these fucking titles, and the Good Brothers have zero claim to this title. They inserted themselves because their whole reason that they got inserted literally 2 weeks ago. Like, there was a number one contendership match. Violent by Design attacked both teams, and instead of being like, okay, you know what, let's have a triple threat match, they were like, okay, we're gonna do a triple threat match. No Good Brothers show up, and they're like, hey, you know, we fought all over the world, and we're best friends with Kenny Omega and Don Callis, so we should get in there. And then Tommy Dreamer was like, yep, you got a tag title shot. And I don't know, seems silly. Good Brothers on Impact I don't care about them. I think they try way too hard to be just goofy dicks who I just don't care about compared to literally every other team in this match. I would have liked No Way Jose to get this title more than the Good Brothers right now, and that's saying something.
That's out there.
I just don't care about the Good Brothers because they've had this title already this year. The whole storyline with them and Finn Juice was really just stupid at the end. And now if the Finn Juice are here to be like, hey, we never got our rematch against Violent by Design. We deserve a rematch for our titles. Yeah, you do. But I really don't want the fourth fucking match against the Good Brothers this year.
That's fair. That is a fair complaint.
Especially when there's more teams. Like it's not like they're lacking for teams.
No, they have options. So who knows? Moving on, we went to the Knockouts Championship match, which was Deonna Purrazzo versus a mystery opponent. None of us predicted who this was going to be.
No.
It ended up being Thunder Rosa of NWA and AEW.
Weird.
She came out to her AEW theme song. Again, this was genuinely shocking. I was not expecting Thunder Rosa to be there, but that's pretty cool. Match itself, slightly underwhelming. I just thought it could have gone longer.
Yeah.
But, you know, for what they had, I thought they did good.
I thought they matched up really well.
Yeah, again, I just wish that we got it longer. That was my only complaint.
I thought it had, with who the two people are, I'll say it, and you guys can disagree all you want. I think Thunder Rosa and Deonna Purrazzo are probably the two best in-ring women right now in major companies. And that's not slighting Britt. Britt's a great wrestler, but Deonna and Thunder Rosa, I feel like, are on just a much higher level technically.
Yeah, in terms of in-ring, yeah, I think that
Character-wise,
Britt is the
is
better
best.
overall package because she's good in ring and she is incredible on the mic and as a character.
Yeah. Thunder Rosa is incredible in ring, and she's good on the mic for what she does.
Yeah.
Deanna is really good in the ring. Doesn't get enough time in the ring because I don't know, but she does really well in the ring, and she's good on the mic. Not the greatest, but if they gave these two more time, I feel like it would rival some of the best women's matches of the year.
That's fair. Again, I just thought that this could have gone longer. That's really my only complaint on this. I thought other than that, it was a good match.
I agree.
But I would say not up to the caliber of what it could have been. But again, they could always do a remix down the line. Now that we know NWA and Impact are going to be working together in some capacity. So Deanna retained though, and after the match, we got another surprise as Hardcore Country hit, and Mickie James came out to a huge ovation. The crowd was very into this. And Mickie gets in the ring and basically sets out a challenge for Deanna at the NWA pay-per-view, the all-women's pay-per-view Empower. So it looks like we probably will get Mickie James versus Deanna there. Do you think it's for the Impact title, right?
No,
No, you think it's just non-title?
I hope so.
Okay.
Because I don't know. I feel like Deanna's got like some people might sour on this reign just because she's beaten everybody in Impact.
Just say what's left for Deanna.
The only people she hasn't beaten in
Takes it
Impact
off of her.
are Taylor Wilde, Kiera Hogan, and Tasha Steelz.
Okay.
She's beaten everybody else. Oh, and Rachel Ellering.
Yeah. Okay. So there are some options still.
Yeah, but Tasha and Kiera look
Tag
focused
team.
on tag, and Rachel and Jordan just got back together.
And Taylor's missing.
And Taylor, who the fuck knows? I think my guess is Taylor Wilde returns during these tapings.
Yeah. I was.
I don't see Taylor Wilde taking it off with Deanna. I think Taylor Wilde can be another notch in Deanna's cap. Be like, hey, this is just another top woman in Impact's history that I've beaten.
Yeah.
On this whole thing to her being the best knockout ever.
Okay. That's fair.
Because we're not. I don't think we're getting her versus Gail Kim ever. I would
Unfortunately.
love that fucking match.
Boo.
I don't think we're getting Madison Rain and her, even though there's a really good story there.
No, we don't need to run through
So
every other.
yeah, I just don't know. Like, I don't want Deanna to lose it to Mickie James, who isn't a contracted wrestler for them, on a non-Impact show, because what was the point? Like, she couldn't beat.
No, it helps out. It helps out NWA.
Yeah, but do they need another women's title on their show?
No, I'm just saying that it helps them get like eyes on that because
Yeah.
they do a big title change.
Okay, so if you wanted just to have the match, yeah, but I feel like Mickie has to win her return
Yeah, well, I guess we'll see.
because it's just been so long.
And then we head over to the main event, which is Kenny Omega versus Sami Callihan in a no disqualification match for the Impact World Championship. Omega comes out and lays out his 3 non-Impact titles out on the entrance ramp, the AEW, the AAA,
And the TNA.
the TNA heavyweight title. He lays them all out and then brings down the Impact title. And then we get our match. And immediately Sammy goes for the pile driver, his finisher.
Well, it wasn't the package pile driver.
Oh,
It was
just
a
a regular
regular
pile
pile driver.
Yeah.
This was immediately set for a big near fall. We had a 2.5 count. The crowd went crazy for this.
To which Pat yelled about this and said if that was the finish, that would look so bad.
Because
for
it's
Impact.
true. It would make Impact
Dude,
look like fucking.
it
It would make Impact look like fucking jokes that they spent all this time with putting a belt that's not like on a non.
And make
Impact
Kenny
wrestler.
look like a joke.
It would make Kenny look
Yeah.
like a joke.
It takes all of
Kenny,
No,
Kenny,
it's
has,
fair. It's
Kenny
fair.
has not been pinned in so fucking long.
Yes.
To have him
It
lose
It
in
would
like
literally
3
take
seconds.
all the credibility that
Yeah.
he has as champion.
People
That's fair.
hated Kofi's end of his
Down
reign.
the drain.
He got pinned
Yeah.
by Brock.
That,
Kofi
yeah, fair.
lost matches during that. Kenny has been unpinned for like
Right.
Years.
insane. That would be
That's
horrible.
No, that's fair. That's a fair complaint.
Also,
I forgot about that
also
part of
you
the
and
problem.
Angelo said that this feud's been really good. So to
Yeah.
end this feud on a 3-second match.
No, yeah.
And also, it's the first pay-per-view back with Feds
Yeah.
to get the world title match.
That's fair.
It's like, here you go.
Especially as building it with like the no
It would have
DQ
looked
thing.
so bad.
I do want to say, before we go way into this match was Chef's Kiss. It had everything in it. I really enjoyed everything about this match. And I know you guys and Angelo and everybody else that does the podcast
Doesn't like
with me
Sami
does
Callihan.
not like Sami Callihan. This is a really fucking good match.
Yeah, I don't deny it. I said it as soon as it was over. I gave if I was giving like a star rating, I would go like 4.75.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
It
think
was
they
really good.
really complemented each other. And
I think this was better than
Swan.
This was miles ahead of Swan. This. I would say this is better than Omega and Moxley from Revolution, the barbed wire match. I think this was all.
I'd
around,
agree with
this
that.
was a better match.
Mhm.
And I think it helps that it's on Impact because Impact doesn't shy away from going
AEW
really.
doesn't either. Look
Yeah.
at the Lights Out match with
Yeah.
Bray and Thunder Rosa.
Yeah,
That's
no,
fair.
Don't.
I think that this would help because it had a very good ending. It was very good throughout the match.
Also, really,
And
I
it was-
think it's helped with the small crowd capacity because it made it feel like it was like
Yeah,
like I pointed out like the feel for this show felt like it's a weird underground wrestling show.
yeah, it fit the theme of the main event with like it being just like a death match.
Yeah.
And this was a death match. Kenny Omega took a pizza cutter to the head very early on. Sammy
A
just
lot.
started. Yeah,
A
Sammy
lot.
just started rolling it on his head and got him cut open there.
Mhm.
Sammy got busted open. What did he get busted open by? Because
The chair.
the chair, and then Kenny got
Barbed wire,
forked.
sure.
No. So Sammy brought out a fork from his leg, and he stabbed Kenny with it. a few
Yeah.
times. Or he
I
tried to
just know that
stab
Kenny
Kenny.
got a fork.
Yeah. So Sammy threw Kenny into the corner, he had the fork and tried to stab him in the face with it. Kenny ducked and it got implanted into the turnbuckle.
Yeah.
Kenny then grabbed a chair, wedged it in between the turnbuckles, and then when Sammy went through and
It came
he hit the chair,
Yeah.
he rolled out. Kenny grabbed the fork,
Okay, that's what you did.
brought him in.
All
to
right,
the
we don't
middle
need the
to start
exact
scraping
play.
it.
But yes, we got forks. We got sheet metal. That
When was the last time you saw a sheet metal?
I thought it was glass. It ended up being sheet metal, which was definitely the safer thing to do.
Yeah, we had
Yeah.
cookie pans.
Cookie pans. We had trash cans.
We had a wet floor sign.
Yep.
We had the fork fish hooking Sammy.
Yeah, that was disgusting. Seeing
Yeah.
Kenny put the bloody fork into Sammy's mouth as he's gushing blood.
Don't like
Yeah.
that.
Like, yeah.
Question.
We had the world title getting used later on.
Yeah,
We
I
had
do
that.
have a question for grossest spot in a while.
Yeah.
That or the Jeff Hardy.
Jeff
year.
Hardy. No question. The Jeff Hardy and Randy Orton stuff is
That's just
definitely grosser.
weird. Yeah.
That's just like odd to look at. This just looks disgusting, but that's like uncomfortable when they do that.
Yeah.
Um,
Even though like it's not
No,
hurting
it's not
Jeff
hurting.
because
So, I
Jeff
mean,
doesn't have it.
That's props to Randy and Jeff for coming up with
Mhm.
that because
Yeah.
that's a really good spot that makes people feel uncomfortable without hurting either of them.
Yeah.
Right.
And then we got thumbtacks, Sammy running thumbtacks.
The other really weird gross spot that like actually grossed me out was the Triple H Batista with the nose ring, where he ripped the nose ring.
I'm
off.
pretty sure it was a fake nose.
Yeah, but like just like
Seeing it,
piercings
yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff like.
Fair enough. We got a chair with barbed wire that got used, and then we got thumbtacks.
Lots of fun.
Lots of thumbtacks. We had some pretty inventive ways to use thumbtacks here. We had Kenny basically use it as pocket sand, kind of, to throw into Sammy's face. Wasn't there something that Sammy got hit with? Like it made him like.
It's salt.
Salt. Okay.
Yeah. I was gonna say that was inventive, if not for the Young Bucks doing that literally this week.
Well,
or 2 weeks ago.
yeah. Well, I also think that there was some nice parallel here to that because we also got Kenny stuffing Sammy's mouth full of it,
Yeah.
like they did to Kingston when they super kicked him. And Kenny did the V trigger. We also had Kenny. This was weird because it didn't really make sense. Kenny put his knee pad into the thumbtacks to stick them in, and then hit a V trigger on Sammy
I think it was just to have like the metal impact.
I guess I don't
It's
know if that
silly.
would hurt her.
Yeah,
but
what you're about the weird thing here was that when they did this, Callis, or I think Callis was one of the commentators, said they weren't thumbtacks, they were like spikes. They were not spikes, they were thumbtacks.
I don't know. What
But like he was like saying that they were like double edged, but they weren't. You could clearly see.
yeah.
But like if they were like double edged thumbtacks, that makes sense.
And then Omega then gets Sammy up for the One Winged Angel and drops him onto the thumbtacks. 1, 2, 3. Kenny Omega is still Impact World Champion. And that was the show. We already talked about the ending before. So Jay White came out after this to confront Kenny. Had a big stare down with him and the Good Brothers, and then the show went off the air. FinJuice came out afterwards, and that's where we're at.
I do want to say that, so Impact posted a zoomed in GIF of Jay coming out. What's interesting is we throw this back to the beginning where Callis and Omega laid out all 3 titles at the top, and as he comes out, he stares at all 3 titles before looking at his own and coming out. So I thought that's a really good visual.
I don't disagree with that.
Because you don't need the video for that. Like that, just him staring at 3 different companies' belts and then taking prize in that own. I thought it was really good. Story writes itself for if you do go with Omega versus Jay for the Never, because it's the one title and one singles title left in New Japan that Kenny hasn't won. Did he win the junior? I mean, he's not going back to junior. But he's won the world title. He had the IC title.
Yeah.
He had the US title.
Yeah.
So if you.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of does word itself for Belt Collector.
Yeah. It's weird that it wouldn't be another world title like the other 3 are, but.
Yeah.
Again, I think that Kenny is losing the AAA Mega title in next month. So.
When he faces Andrade.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'd give the show an overwhelming thumbs up. I thought this was a really great show for Impact. Still not a fan of the feed cutting, even if it was unintentional. It just comes out looking amateur.
Yeah.
And this is a company who's been around for decades.
Yeah, I do want to point out that something I've been looking at on Twitter is people kept on saying that they heard Josh Matthews throughout the show, coming over. They said that they heard Josh Matthews feed into the commentators, telling them what to say.
I didn't know that.
I never heard that at all. I thought originally that they were saying that Josh Matthews was the one who said, look out, or to be the person coming out. But people were like, oh yeah, Josh Matthews kept on coming on throughout the show telling the commentators what to say. And I was like, I've never heard that. But,
Interesting.
yeah. It's not like I could be like, oh, well, maybe it was on the Impact Plus stream, but that's not a thing. It's all on Fight.
Yeah,
Traditional pay-per-view.
alright, I just looked this up. I see people saying this. There have been multiple points during the main event where you can hear Josh Matthews producing the show over the audio feed. Impact. Maybe it was easier to hear if you were watching by yourself, but we had 4 of us here
we were talking a lot.
I also had my favorite one is from somebody on Twitter. Who is this? This is at What a Mark, tweeting, "I like hearing Josh Matthews go over the replays.
No.
It's like a little reminder of what could have been tonight." And somebody replied saying, "Josh is so much better than Striker."
No.
I think Josh.
No.
I think Josh has
Josh
too many.
Matthews' burner account is here.
I think Josh has too many WWE-isms in his work, but Striker is just unbearable.
I think Striker, he's grown on me.
Really? I could not stand Striker on the show. He just sounded so overly emotional.
No, I agree with that.
He literally sounded at points like he was gonna cry.
That's fair. This was not a good show.
No, it was not.
But it's better than Josh.
No, I
Matthews.
agree. I would rather have this than.
But some of the stuff that Striker said tonight was ridiculous. Look at the little Nancy boy.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah.
The little Nancy boy.
Sounded really
one.
horny
I was
there.
It's weird for me to be like, oh yeah, Matt Striker's such a homer for Impact since he hasn't been there that long again.
It's so weird.
But he's more of a homer than Josh Matthews is on commentary, and Josh Matthews has been there much longer.
Joey, what would you give the show?
Give it a thumbs up.
Okay.
Really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it better than last year's.
I would say this was overall probably the best Impact pay-per-view I've seen.
I've seen personally, yeah.
This
In
was really
moderate
enjoyable.
day, but
Top to
yeah.
bottom, this was really good. We did post 2 polls on Twitter that got a decent amount of responses, so we can go over that real quick. Jay White versus Kenny Omega at Bound for Glory. What are your thoughts? Hell yes or hell no? 89% said hell yes. 11% said hell no. It's with 46 responses. And as our thing for what did you think of Slammiversary? We had 44 responses. We had 7% not watch the pay-per-view. 2% hated it. 9% said meh. 82% said loved it. So
What was the percentage of hell no to?
to that 11. 89 for hell yes.
Okay.
11 for hell no.
11%. Just a bunch of fucking marks.
So my reason for the hell no, if I'm playing devil's advocate, is because if you're an Impact fan, you don't want 2 people that aren't contracted to Impact to be fighting for the championship. Because there's no big like, yeah, I want the title to go to somebody in New Japan who might not be in Impact very long, or yeah, I want Kenny Omega, who's in AEW, who's the biggest heel right now, to have the title. Like, it's 2 heels. Like, who would I cheer for? Like, who do I want to have win that title?
I don't know.
Yeah. Like, if Jay stays, yeah, it's him taking the title off of Omega, but then you've just got another Omega at this point.
It is worth noting. I do not see this happening. GCW has tweeted out in response to Don Callis claiming that Kenny Omega is tougher than Nick Gage.
Dear fucking lord.
They've tweeted out saying, Omega, tougher than Gage, at Don Callis. What are you smoking, pal? You and Kenny are welcome to come and prove it, but you have to get in line, and the line starts this Saturday at GCW Homecoming. I don't think this is happening. It seems like it's just them promoting.
But they have a relation. AEW does
We'll
have a
see.
relationship with GCW.
I don't see Kenny going to do this.
That would be fucking. That would be.
He's gonna win the GCW.
Yeah.
Just
Hey,
think
man,
of the people
I
that
still-
have just shown up in GCW in the last year.
I still am predicting that I'm saying it now, Nick Gage is losing the GCW championship to Matt Cardona.
I do. I think so.
I think it's
I
happening.
don't agree.
I think it's going
I
to
don't think it's gonna happen.
I think it's if Mox was still present in GCW, I would say Mox is the one to take it off him. But we don't know what.
I think that match is going to happen, but they don't need the title for it.
That's fair.
They can headline a show and sell out
I think they're gonna want the title for it though.
Yeah,
could.
I was gonna say that I think they want the title on it, and I think Gage beating Mox would be a bigger thing for GCW.
We'll see. I also don't know if AEW wants Moxley losing like that. But I mean,
like
we'll
if
see.
it's not for any, like if it's not for.
Again, I think that it helps if it's not for a title.
Yeah.
We'll see. Anyway, thank you for joining us for our review of Impact Slammiversary. You can join us tomorrow for our review of Money in the Bank. And then you can join us later this week for our review of AEW Dynamite Fighter Fest Week 2. And then Ryan and Angela will be back on Thursday to do the Fallout show for Slammiversary. And I'm sure Angela might give some more of his thoughts on the pay-per-view there.
Don't forget Monday Night Raw review.
Monday Night Raw review as well.
Goldberg
makes his return most likely.
And so does the
Oh,
audience.
man.
So thank you for joining us. We'll talk to you guys next time. And if this is all you hear from us, then have a good weekend, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you guys. Stay safe.